My name is Sue Altmeyer, and I'm here at Cleveland Marshall College of Law Library, and I'm going to talk to you today about Ohio legislative history, the least you need to know. Legislative history means the documents generated during the legislative process, and these documents can show the legislative intent of a statute, particularly if the meaning of that statute is ambiguous. And Ohio courts will consider these legislative history documents as persuasive authority. So Ohio legislative history, unlike federal legislative history, is not required to be retained. So you're not going to find as much Ohio legislative history as you would if you were doing federal legislative history research. Some documents that are readily accessible and can be informative for Ohio legislative history include various versions of the bill as they went through the legislative process, the acts themselves, because sometimes those include language showing legislative intent beyond just the additions and deletions to the Ohio Revised Code. And there's also the Legislative Service Commission analysis. That is a narrative explanation of the changes being made by that particular piece of legislation. Sometimes the bill itself is hard to read because it is Ohio Revised Code sections just, crossed out and parts added into it. But the Legislative Service Commission analysis really is an explanation of what that piece of legislation is trying to do. And sometimes it really tells you what the legislative intent is. Sometimes, to be honest, it just gives you a summary of the changes and it doesn't go too much beyond that. But it's hit or miss. You got to take a look at it. There's other types of legislative history documents that are available, but they may be harder to get. Take a look at the Ohio Primary Law Legal Research Guide Legislative History. This guide is available from the Law Library homepage, and this will direct you to other sources of legislative history. Okay, so basically how do I go about finding Ohio legislative history materials? Some sources, and this will cover a lot of the different years and the most readily accessible things. There is the Ohio General Assembly's webpage that covers from 1997 on, and you get your bills and Legislative Service Commission analysis and fiscal notes. There is Hannah Capital Connection. The coverage is 1989 on, and it has a little bit more documents available, different types of documents than the Ohio General Assembly's webpage, in addition to some news articles. Hein Online Session Laws, if you're looking for older materials, this has the text of the acts going back even before Ohio became a state in 1802. If you're looking for Legislative Service Commission analysis from 1961, really, and before 1989, you could come to the library and we have it on microfilm. So what are the first steps to finding Ohio legislative history? Well, first you have to determine the session law that you're interested in. To find that, you need to look at the history or credit section in an annotated Ohio Revised Code, such as the annotated codes in Lexis or Westlaw. My sample problem is I'm going to look at Ohio Revised Code 2929.03a, and I specifically want the session law where the legislators gave 3 more sentencing options for aggravated murder. I just want that particular session law that made that particular change. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go out to Westlaw Next. I pull up my Ohio Revised Code section, and if I scroll down after the language of the Ohio Revised Code section, there's going to be a credit section. This will tell me the act that originally enacted this Ohio Revised Code section here in 1972, and then the most recent amendment, which was in 2007. So how do I find the particular act that did the change that I'm interested in? Sometimes there'll be a summary down here of the changes that were made by each of these acts. In this case, there isn't, so I'm just going to click on these things and see. I could also try searching a database of acts on, Lexis, Westlaw, or Hannah Capital Connection, but I could do it this way too, particularly if there's not too many to click on. So from here, what I need to do is I need to go to 2929.03, run my search, because I want just changes made to that particular Ohio Revised Code section. And here I am, and I take a look at this, and this is not what the changes that I'm looking for. So I go back, and I'm going to look at an earlier act in 2004. And I could do search and search my particular Ohio Revised Code section. And here it is. And this is the one I actually want. So the piece of legislation that I'm interested in is House Bill 184 from the 2004 session. So what I could do is I could go to the Ohio General Assembly's webpage, or I'm going to go over to HANA Capital Connection. From the Law Library's homepage, I click on Law Databases, H for HANA. Here's HANA. And at the top here, I can just select what General Assembly that I want. I think that was 125th, yeah. Yep, that's right. Okay, and I want, it was House Bill 184. So here I get the Act, I get LSC analysis, fiscal notes, as well as news and some different, maybe some information about hearings. Yeah, I don't know in this case if there's that, but oftentimes there is at least some information about hearings. And that's basically how you can find legislative history for